Hello there. Today's episode is extra special because, drumroll please, I am turning 46 this week. And let me tell you, midlife is a whole vibe because it is a mix of strategy and soul and a little bit of like, is this what my hair really looks like now? So, real talk, this past year has been a roller coaster between AI tools and sound baths and human design and really figuring out how to mix the strategy with the soul part of running a business. And so today, I am talking about the one thing that I have learned, and that is having a mental health first aid kit is essential. It's what keeps me grounded on the crazy days. And today I'm going to share mine with you. So in this episode, we're diving into the simple habits that help me stay sane, how to create a mental health toolkit for stress, overwhelm, and those midlife tools, and why mixing strategy with soul is the secret to sustainable success. So you can grab your coffee, it's a chai tea for me, your collagen water, whatever it looks like, and let's talk about how to take care of your mind, body, and business without burning out. Hey there, and welcome back to the Crush to Rush podcast. Today's episode is a really special one because I'm actually turning 46 this week. Now, let me just say, my husband was like, well, you can round up to 50 now. Does this make you feel better? And I'm like, no, not really. But it's been a year, so we'll just leave it at that. If you're in your 40s or you're even creeping toward them, you know what I mean? But there's been a lot of curveballs. I feel like it's just like a weird season. And I feel like life is kind of like, oh, what's next? Let's go, 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 to like, oh man, I really just like want to take a nap and be a hermit for a while. So that's okay. This past year, though, has been a big mix of strategy meets soul. And you might see that coming through in a lot of our podcasts. We're talking a lot about like AI tools and even ad strategies, but also embracing the woo. So like monthly card readings and human design and like sound baths and Pilates. And so I think it's really important to like merge all the things together, but it's also been a season of like immense change for me. We are in like the full swing of perimenopause, which is, I know, a really hot topic for those of you that are in your 40s. I suffer from really, really horrible migraines. And, we talk about things like, I think that my hair is like half the thickness of it used to be when I was in my 30s. And it's just like, there's just a lot going on besides business. And so I thought it would be really fun. I don't know. I'm kind of regretting talking about it right now, and I'm talking about hair loss and migraines on a podcast, but I thought it would be really fun to give you my like mental health checklist, as you might say, as a business owner, because I feel like amidst all the chaos, I've learned that one of the best things you can have to help you through it is this like first aid kit to really keep your mental health in focus. And I wish that I would have done this earlier in my 20s and my 30s. And it just took me a minute to get there. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about business, but I really wanted to dig into things that I've done along the way. And it's like a mix of like practical and woo. And yeah, I mean, sometimes we listen to Alanis Morissette and just cry it out, but that's okay. So life can get weird, especially in your 40s. And, I think sometimes I don't have TikTok, but it makes me feel a little anxious. And then I'm like, am I really, sharing on Instagram the right way? Am I talking about the right things? Like, am I still cool? I have twin daughters who are 11, and there's like a lot going on in that space. And so, without having like full blown meltdowns every day, I feel like this mental health toolkit is like a preventative care for your soul. So let's get to the good stuff. These are some of the things that I'm doing that are like everyday practices, sort of like soul nurturing, and then like some lessons along the way. So first things first, movement is like my cure all for a funk. If you have listened to our podcast for a while, this summer, my husband and I had a goal to walk 5 miles a day. And then it sort of set off this. I'm like, I don't want to sit in front of my computer all day. So my goal is to walk at least 45 minutes to an hour every single day. And I will say, for the most part, we hit this, except in January when it was like negative 10 degrees. And I just got a notice on my watch when I was recording this saying that like, hey, your activity level has been down the last 20 days, but that's because it's been like the Arctic Circle here. So I want to make sure that regardless of what you do, I think movement is really, really important. So I do Pilates daily. That has been something that I've been doing since. If you follow me on Instagram stories, I do the Fit with Coco app. She's much younger. She's fun. She's like the motivation I need. I wish I had her back in my 30s. I do that every single day, 6 days a week. And then I walk a lot. When my girls are at dance class, I used to work in my car. Now I walk. When my girls get home from school and they're in a bad mood, guess what? We walk. When I get done recording podcast episodes and I feel like I don't know if I should just jump into the next work thing, I walk. And so it's really, really important for me to add movement into my mental health toolkit. The other thing that we've done as a family is lots of music. And I'm recording this right after watching the Grammy Awards. And I woke up this morning and I was like, man, I couldn't sleep last night. And my husband's like, that's because you were so into all of the music, like all of the concerts. And so I love music. I have gone to a lot of concerts in my life. The girls and I are known to turn on the Wicked soundtrack. And, it's like, how can you not be in a good mood when you listen to that finale? And so I just think it's fun to think about how you can incorporate music into your everyday. We do playlists for our co-op members. We do playlists for our podcast. We change up the music here. And a fun fact, just from a personal perspective, is my husband and I grew up next to this really little fun hippie town in Ohio called Yellow Springs. And so we're known to blast some Led Zeppelin and some Pink Floyd in the car. And I just have to make sure the girls are educated, right? We love Taylor Swift, but there's a lot of other great musical acts. So movement and music have played a really big role in just putting me in the right headspace. And I think they're really simple things that you can just add into your schedule every single day. Okay, I got this done. I'm going for a walk. I'm going to listen to music. Or as much as I love podcasts, sometimes I just need a good playlist in the morning to get me going. So that leads to number 2, which is a solid morning routine that is not overwhelming. And if you go back to the very first episodes of this podcast, I talk a lot about morning routines. And when I was working in corporate, I had a 15-step morning routine that I had to accomplish before I got out the door. And I still believe in it because at the time it's what I needed to help me stay sane. Now I feel like I'm in a little bit of a different season and I like to take the morning a little bit slower. So my first trick in my morning routine book is I get up at the same time every day, even on the weekends. Now, yes, I do sleep in every once in a while, but I usually don't set an alarm. And I always wake up anywhere from 5:50 to 6:15. It just kind of depends, but that's typically when I will wake up every single day of the week. It's crazy how it works when you get older, but that's just the time. What I do when I first get up, if I'm being honest, is I get my girls' lunches together, I fill their water bottles up, and then I go sit in our office and I journal. And this has been a really hard part of my morning routine because I am not a journaler, but I have a journal called The Best Year, and it prompts you every morning with one question. And so I try really hard just to answer that one question, even if it's just one sentence. So some days it's one sentence. Some days I'm feeling oh, I'm just going to write a little bit more. And then I do card pulls. I've been leaning into just listening to the universe a little bit and watching for signs. And so the cards that I have a journal prompt as well. And so that's the first thing that I do in the morning. And then I go down and I do my Pilates workout. So that all happens before the girls get on the bus. And then I've been trying really hard to limit my caffeine. This is not a formal step, but I do drink salt water. So LMNT salt water. And then I put creatine in it, which is another, I'm getting old little tip, but that's what I drink in the morning before I have any tea or anything else. And so that's just setting the tone. I'm giving myself a moment to collect my thoughts, and then I'm adding in movement and music, which was my first step because that's what calms me down the most. I can listen to a playlist and I will feel instantly better. So for me, mornings set the tone for the day. So I just try to keep it super simple. And then if I want to add on more, I can. Other things that I do to calm my anxiety, because that has been something that is new in my 40s. I did not have any sort of anxiety. At least I couldn't feel it like I do now. And so I had to really add in some things to keep it at bay. The first one is really making sure that I limit my screen time. I make sure, so right now going into 2025, we have like a family app that like tracks how much screen time we have. Our goal is 30 minutes a day. Yes, that includes Instagram and all the things. So 30 minutes a day, that's all you get. And then we turn off all of our apps except for like emergency calls at 7 p.m. So 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. is just this like creative escape. And so for me, during that time is weird because I'm coming from corporate where I had a lot of time. And so what I try to do during that time is reading. I think I shared this a couple podcasts ago, but I just joined Goodreads. I feel like I'm like 10 years too late on that. Not too late, but I had a late start on that. So reading, we have family reading time every night. Journaling, sometimes I'll go back to my journal, and then like DIY projects. We've been really into DIY projects, and those are like really great creative escapes. And so one of the tools in my toolkit is to create these creative escapes like reading, like journaling, like home projects where I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm not watching the news. I'm not consuming, I'm creating. And if you follow any of my business lessons, you know that one of our biggest mantras is to create more than you consume. And so this has been a really big shift. I have to be so intentional about it because it's really hard to turn it off. I like to work. I've shared that before. I like answering messages. I like creating content, but I feel like I can be more creative if I escape from it and come back. So that's another tool in my toolkit. The fourth tool in my toolkit is really just like a little woo, but I've added sound baths. There's something just like magical about the sound healing. I had never been exposed to that until this year. And so I try once a month to do something in that realm, like something in the woo realm, like whether it's a sound bath or like a different type of yoga or some sort of like ceremony. I know it sounds out there, but it's been really fun for me to just like embrace doing something different. I'm also obsessed with my weighted blanket. So this step number 4 in my toolkit is stress soothing go-tos. And that is, experiencing something maybe a little bit different, like a sound bath, or really just when you've got the migraine or the anxiety kicks in, like the weighted blanket and a good bath does your body good. So these are just, things that I've been trying to incorporate every single day to just do things different. And then last but not least, and this one's huge, is I've learned to stop equating rest with laziness, which is really, really hard. So if I'm tired, I will rest. I love to take a nap. Most people in my family cannot take a nap. I can take a nap for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 2 hours, and I feel amazing afterwards. I've just loved it. And so I've sort of embraced that, especially in this like winter season. I try really hard to take the weekends off social media. And then I don't feel guilty for like binge watching The Crown or whatever the thing is that feels really good. I've been really into like Gilmore Girls and some of those like old 90s shows that, let me tell you, when you watch with a parent's perspective is so different. And so I've tried to incorporate the fact that rest is not a reward. It's a necessity. And so I know these things sound really, really simple, but I feel like, we talk a lot about strategy and we talk a lot about quarterly planning. And I would love for you to incorporate some of these into your daily schedule. It's movement, it's fun, it's dancing, it's music, it's card pulling, it's journaling, it's making sure that you're drinking enough water, right? It's sound baths, it's weighted blankets, watching your favorite shows, reading your favorite books, DIYing projects. Like, I think it's so important as a business owner to make sure that you have space for all these things on your calendar because it's going to fuel you with so many more ideas. So I just want to take a moment and, one, thank you for listening to my Celebrating 46. This is my mental health checklist that I live by. But I think it's really fun to think about the beauty of the season that we're in and realizing that it's okay to mix strategy and soul and ambition and rest and hustle with self-compassion. Like, I think in 2020 and even before that, it was like the whole like girl boss movement, like work. And I feel like we're seeing that relax like a little bit, which I'm totally here for. So, there are fun things you can do, like plan your quarterly strategy while listening to Led Zeppelin or Alanis Morissette, or after you map out your business goals, treat yourself to a sound bath. And just think about how you can incorporate some of these items into your everyday or into your monthly plan. Because my wish for you is to create your own mental health toolkit, right? Fill it with tools and practices and like little luxuries that keep you grounded. That is your homework after listening to this episode. I hope you're inspired and excited and know that you can build a toolkit that's going to help you handle all the things that come your way. So thank you so much for celebrating with me today. I hope this gave you some ideas and maybe a different way to scale your business. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with a friend, tag me on Instagram, tell me what your mental health toolkit is. And remember, you don't have to do this alone. So if you're ready to mix strategy with soul and connect with a community that gets it, come find us in the Crush the Rush Club, TollyMarieHaynes.com/club. We've got the tools, the resources, and the vibes to help you build a life first priorities business. And we share all kinds of tools, everything from strategy to the woo, and really helping you figure out a business that feels right for you. So thanks for listening.